Hey everybody, Charlie here, and welcome to Let's Try Mars Horizon. I'm gonna be honest with you. When I first got this game, and special shout out, please, give a big shout out to ROC Digital for sending me a copy of the game. It's closed beta, the content's not final, and this is a big Kickstarter winner too. So congratulations on your Kickstarter campaign, and thanks for sending it to me so that I can show it to all of these wonderful people, okay? We got the best people, okay? And now the best people get to see your game. I'm just kidding. I'm not full of myself, I swear. Welcome to Mars Horizon. What is this? It's a space game, but it's not your typical space game. It's not like when we're playing Kerbal Space Program and we're building our own rockets and intricately designing things and sewing and flying up in the skies and doing things, right? This is more of a strategy simulation game. It's more of the intrigue part of it. It's more of the diplomatic part of it, the business-oriented part of it, the governance part of it, okay? And it's not that easy to beat the Russians. I'm just gonna say right now, okay? They're fast. We gotta be faster. Let's take a look at the new game, and I'll show you how this goes down. We'll give a quick little introduction to some of the different elements of the game, and then we'll try to play it, okay? So, you can choose one of 3 different space agencies, the ESA, Russia, or NASA. ESA, European Space Agency. We get bonuses with each faction, and each space agency has their own bonuses. ESA is more catered toward bonuses from diplomatic relationships, working with other agencies, joint missions, etc. They also get a nice flat 5% bump to their payload reliability, which is... You're going to need all the reliability you could get, believe me. So that's good. Russia, their invalid launch windows have now become suboptimal, so they can launch kind of in any window. That's really advantageous when they want to beat you at launching something, because they can launch in windows that you can't, okay? Now, they may be... I don't know if they actually are unsuccessful. I don't know if the AI has failed launches. It doesn't look like they do. So, yeah, it's not that easy to beat them sometimes. They have no support loss when they fail missions. So if you want to be them and you're failing missions a lot, I guess at least you're not going to lose support for it. And their astronauts are actually half off upkeep and cost. Weird. NASA, the United States of America's civilian space program, achieving a top 3 milestone rank grants double the support bonus, which is actually pretty cool. Double the support bonus is nice. +1 level to all vehicle parts, also very good. And we get access to more contractors. Contractors, we'll look at that later on in the playthrough. I'm trying to do as much of this as I can. We'll play through as much as the beta allows, because I gotta tell you, when I started playing this game, at first I didn't really think much of it, okay? I didn't think like, I was kind of like, oh, is this, I don't know if this is right for me. Like, this isn't quite what I thought it'd be like. I don't really know. Because I hadn't really heard of it before they sent it out. They're just kind of like, look at this. And I went, okay, let's see what this is. I got pictures, I got vids, let's do it. But I gotta tell you, like, I didn't think much of it as I started playing it. I liked it. This is all right. This is okay. And it's been 4 hours. And I'm looking at it going, wait, what time is it? So this is one of those games where you're just going to be like, just one more turn. And it might be hard for me to end videos, quote unquote, on time to our typical length because of that. So we'll try. And if for some reason I go long and I notice, then I'll just keep going and I'll split that play session in half. And you just... we'll just turn that one giant long 1.5-hour session into 2 videos that way. Okay, I'm going to go with NASA because I'm a born and bred American, so here we go. And welcome, director. And welcome to this early preview of Mars Horizon. In this limited beta, you'll have access to the first 2 eras of the game, which takes you from launching your first satellite to landing humans on the moon. The game will end once you've completed the crewed moon landing, or... in January 1980, whichever comes first. Good luck in the space race. Okay, let's break down the UI here, all right? And there's certain things that this... one thing I will say is this game really needs a tutorial. I'm just saying, you need a tutorial for this. But in any case, I think you can pick it up if you just jump right into it, like the deep end of the pool, and just start flapping your arms and legs. Eventually, you'll figure out how to wade in it, and you'll eventually figure out how to float, and you'll learn how to swim that way. And that's kind of what you have to do in this game right now. Research, top left corner, that shows the progress. You might be familiar with tech trees from things like civilization and surviving Mars and things like that. And this isn't really all that different than that. It's a tech tree. It's nice. It has 3 different tabs. Each tab is a very different purpose. Missions, you unlock missions to go on, but in order to go on those missions, you're going to need certain vehicles. So you'll need vehicle research as you span down here. You can also unlock contractors that way as well as you enter Era 2. Buildings help and assist you in a lot of different ways, including speeding up your research, allowing you to do multiple missions at a time, build bigger rockets, etc. And some missions will require you to go down the building tree as well. So you have to kind of balance what your priorities in research are, and at certain periods of time, you'll probably be at a time crunch to do specific things in order to beat certain milestones or become first at certain things. So there's something to take a look at there as we go. I personally like to prioritize any economic resource that can build upon itself. I like to invest in things that can take care of themselves and ultimately earn me more of the same thing. So, for example, investing early in research so that I get more research, so that I can research faster and then get more research, etc. In that case, and going along that note, we're going to start with the research lab, and that's how I'm going to do it. Okay, so take a look at the next things. Upper right corner, we have our current resources. 100,000, I'm going to go with dollars. I know it's like a C, like a credit kind of thing. I'm just going to go with dollars because it's easier for me to mentally do that. So $100,000, we're getting 53K per month. Every turn, every progression you do is advancing the game by a month. Or you can advance to the next event in the list, but that will advance to the, many months. If research gets completed in the course of this, it will stop you on that month. We have 0 science right now, but we're getting 11 per month. We have 5 support, and we're currently tier 1 support. If you click this, you'll see how this all breaks down: gross monthly income, as well as your total expenses, whether or not you're profitable. Also, if you are paying astronauts and stuff, you're going to have this expense as well. Try to keep your income and your expenses balanced out to where your net income is still positive, all right? Try to do that. Funding. Currently, we're tier 1. At the next tier, we need 15 more support before we get to unlock tier 2. We get support by doing things well, or at least by doing things. Not necessarily well, as RNG has a tendency to stop me from doing them well, but we will see. In case anyone's wondering, RNG stands for Random Number Generator, and you'll get a first-hand display of what that's like in a second. Science tab shows you a breakdown of how your science is advancing over the course of the year, starting from January all the way to December. As you can see, it's January of 1957 right now. All right. Now, over here on the left, we have research, which brings us to the same screen as that does. We also have active missions, which will bring us to the same screen as clicking the planet itself. And we can see all the different milestone missions that are available in this side here. And Era 2, all the missions that are available here. And we can go up to requests. And if there are any requests here, missions, etc., they'll all appear here. A lot of times these will pay you money. Maybe they're from third-party contractors, things like that. They will pay you money usually. Not always. Anything that happens in the events in the past 6 months will appear in here. Here's the current day. And then we have the current events down here that's happening. First thing I want to do is the first mission in our milestones, and that's a test launch. Test launch should start right away, so let's planning out right now. We are going to build a sounding rocket. So, sounding rockets, this is our very first rocket. As such, it's not necessarily going to be very reliable. It's really important, actually, that the first launch you do is successful, or you are going to be behind right away. Because like I said, I don't think the AI messes up launches. I don't know that, but I don't think they mess it up. So if this first launch for you fails, I recommend you restart your campaign. You haven't really invested a whole lot of time into it. If the first one fails, restart. That's all I'm going to say. This is going to be called Headstrong, which is perfect for me. Perfect. So up here, we see that the upper stage has 0 kilograms. That's our minimum. Suborbital is exactly what we need to do. The booster is also 0 kilograms. And as far as like payload and stuff goes, and a small launch pad is required. As long as you have all of the requirements, you'll get check marks here. If you don't get a check mark here, it means that you need to get outside of the screen. You need to go research or build a structure or something to satisfy whatever the requirement is that you're missing. We have a 40% launch reliability. This is the probability that the vehicle will launch without errors. That's 40%. Great. It can take a month to build it. It's going to cost us $80,000. Let's do it. Now, you'll notice also that the construction report, the engineers are going to build this, and the report has an unrevealed trait. These can be positive or negative. May the dice roll be ever in your favor. Let's zoom back out, and we'll take a look at the diplomacy screen really fast. Your overview for diplomacy, you can either work with other space agencies, or you can say, hey, no, I'm the best. I'm the best. I do the very best things. I say the very best words. And you can ruin your relationships with international leaders. It's up to you how you want to approach this. Allied agencies provide a large boost to science. Friendly agencies will also provide a far greater contribution in joint missions. Right now, we have a favorable but not friendly relationship with the European Space Program, Space Agency. And Russia is not too happy with us. Go figure, it's almost the 1960s. If we reach allied status, we will reach allied status with an agency to get access to their contractors. So these guys have their own contractors, and we can license them, or we can, contract them for things if we are allied with them. You can see what Russia thinks of us. Antagonistic. Due to this rivalry, your government will provide additional funding, increased greatly if Russia are ahead of you in the race to Mars. Russia will contribute far less towards joint missions. So we have increased funding when they are ahead of us. And yeah, they're probably going to be ahead of you for a bit because they can launch whenever the frick they want. All right, I'm going to progress this 1 month. And we're going to see that the rocket is done. It only takes a month to build this one. So there we go. Headstrong. Okay, so plus 5% to launch reliability was the hidden trait. Good for us. Now, we can go ahead and here to set training and launch date. Now, we can't do the training yet because we don't have that research facility that I started doing. So we can't actually do this yet, but I will get the launch date settled. And this is the launch date calendar. Right now, our launch window is suboptimal. March is just suboptimal. I don't know why. I wish it would break this down for me as to why. Maybe have a little story as to what's going on and the conditions in which that is suboptimal. But the entire month of March is not acceptable. So we'll be launching in April because that's when we can do it. So let's go ahead and confirm that setup now. Hopefully Russia doesn't launch it in March because that kind of stuff happens. Now, there's one element I didn't talk about yet. That's because I don't have a new structure yet. I'm working on getting the research lab. The research lab will, of course, unlock the mission training for science, and that's what we want to use it for. But what we use that for, and when we build it for, is our base of operations. And our base is located here. So this is our space program, our little space base. And we can zoom in and take a look at it here. We have our HQ. We're getting +1 science per month here because it has an adjacency bonus. We're getting a base 10 +1 for the adjacency bonus with this building here. This is getting -1 build time plus the +1 per month adjacency bonus with the other building. And this one is getting -1% build time. So if you build structures that work coherently with each other and work well with each other next to each other, you'll get bonuses for those. So that's nice. These are also considered critical buildings, so you can't destroy them, but you can move them. If I opted to, for example, move this here, I could do that. But you wouldn't want to do that because this launch bay doesn't really work real well with like research and development and the actual headquarters, right? People like a little bit more peace and quiet. So doing this would invoke a negative. That's why there's a space between them. Get it? Okay, so that's that thing. Once we unlock new buildings, we'll also have them added here and we can add them. If there's terrain in the way, we need to pay to remove it. For example, this obstruction here, for 50,000 bucks, we can remove that. And then when we get our research, I'm gonna put it right here because now it will fit there. Okay, explain that part. Let's hope Russia doesn't beat us to space. All right, Russia's gonna launch their test in 3 months. ESA is launching theirs in 2 months. Guess what? We're launching ours in 1. So we can beat you, I think. Depends on whether or not it explodes on the launch pad, which happens like more often than you'd think. Dawn of spaceflight. As rocket technology advances, so does the prospect of exploring beyond the confines of our planet. Yet the public continue to question whether the fledgling agencies can overcome the dangers of spaceflight. We've unlocked the moon. Okay. So you can see mission progress and how our race is progressing. And you got a little glimpse of it there. We are going to the finish line first, but only if this launch is successful, okay? And like I said, if your first launch isn't successful, I really think you should restart. I really think you do. Before launching a payload into orbit, it's vital to test the agency's launch facilities and I wish I could read that and that it wouldn't toggle back and forth, but facilities suborbital flights. These sounding rockets will carry an array of sensors and other experiments, but don't have the power to achieve orbit. Okay, so let's go. This has a 45% chance of being good. Now, thankfully, it looks like the weather conditions are actually okay. It can be stormy, it can be bright sunny day, it can be clouds, or it can be rainy and thunderstormy, and then you have different conditions that are upon your rocket. In this case, it has somewhat adequate conditions, so we're getting a plus 1% to reliability for an overall percentage of 46% chance that things will go well. If we get a secure launch, no additional effects will happen. There's a 34% chance of that happening. If we get a smooth takeoff, positive 12% chance of that happening. We get plus 50% to our mission science reward, which is nice. If there's a 40% chance of systems damage happening, we'll get negative 25% of our mission reward, but we'll still be technically a successful launch. We'll just won't get as much science. And if this happens, restart your campaign. Basically. Critical failure, mission vehicle is destroyed. Okay, let's go.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have liftoff.
Watch it explode. You see that shit? You see that shit? 14%, guys. It happens so often. It says 14%, but I'm telling you now, I have played through this video recording right now 4 times, and I shit you not, it has happened 4 out of 4 times. I feel like this critical failure is somehow scripted. Now, I know it's not, because I've also played through it twice, just learning the game before trying to record, and I had successes. So note to self, always record blind, because it goes best when you do that. I am going to restart this, and we are going to relaunch another rocket, because this thing is now 4 for 4 on failures. It's stupid. That 14% is a lie. I'll be right back. All right, we're back in it. Yep, like I said, if you fail the first launch, restart your campaign. This time, Russia's launching right alongside. They're not actually behind in 3rd place like they were before, darn it. So they're getting in there. Let's go ahead and launch this time. Now, if you want to skip a lot of these like transitionary scenes here, you can just click your mouse and it will warp you right into these conditions. Because I know a lot of these little sort of pan in things are pretty, they take a long time. They're really slow. I like them. They're beautiful. The hand-drawn little artwork stuff. It looks really cool, but they're a little slow. So if you want to skip them, just click your mouse or spacebar or something and it'll go right to the point. You can actually play really fast that way if you'd like to. All right, 46%. I'm going to skip it again. Let's go. Okay, it didn't blow up this time. Good. It didn't blow up this time. 34% chance of nothing bad happening. Good. There you go. Okay. So we succeeded in that. We are first to launch a sounding rocket. I really think that's the start that you need for this game. We get extra support for that, and for being first, it's always good to be first. Now we'll take a look at our structure, and we have a new building. We completed the research on the research lab. Let's go ahead and build this. It's going to cost us $100. And this little science lab could be placed anywhere we want, but I cleared this little space out so that I could. Notice that there's an adjacency bonus for this placement, how it has negative 1% payload build cost, which is also pretty nice. If we were to put it over somewhere else, like for example here, we also get negative 1% to vehicle cost. So we can kind of play around with what sort of bonus you'd like, and you could earn the bonus that you'd like. If you placed it here, for example, I'd actually get both bonuses for this building, which would be very nice. But unfortunately, this little plot of land here is too expensive to clear out at the moment. But maybe it's worth it, actually. It's not that much expense. You know what? Why don't we wait to build that until we clear that out? I think that's an okay thing. We can wait a little bit of time. In the meantime, we could also go after the research lab expansion. This gives us +5 science per month. Very nice. So we'll go after that next. And as far as missions go, we have no requests, and we are unable to do the artificial satellite mission that's up next because the mission profile requires us to have this research. So actually, you know what? Let's do this research instead. And the mission payload also requires this one, so we'll have to go down through the research a little bit more. Next couple of months, artificial satellite is complete. We'll go down the payload explorer, and we'll hit that research as well. 182,000. Let's go to the base. We'll clear this out for 150K. And I think that allows us to build that if we had the funds to build the actual structure. So we'll have to wait a little bit longer. Good. Russia completed test launch second, and ESA is third. Okay. I'll get with the program, guys. You're too slow. All right, so we've been going down the missions area, and that's nice. We can now do the artificial satellite first, hopefully, too. Lunar orbit and animal in space are something... This one right here is something that Russia really rushes. I'm noticing that a lot, and it's really difficult to beat them to that. But I also need to make sure I'm getting vehicle parts researched, too, because doing future missions is not going to work with sounding rockets. So, like artificial satellites, for example. So we're going to take a second and get some of these other parts unlocked, too. We have $85,000. That's not enough to get the research lab yet, so let's hold off on that for one more month. Jupiter research is done. I'm going to grab the Viking upper stage, and I'm going to go ahead and get this structure building. The research lab is going to do a couple of things. Rotate it. The rotation buttons for the structure is really weird. X and Z. I feel like it feels more natural to make that R, or at least allow me to like click the middle mouse button for rotation. That would be really intuitive as well. If I go and put this right here, I get 2 bonuses. You have to keep in mind of like where each structure is going to be, and where we're going to put mission control and all that stuff. But I like the idea of getting -1% to all this stuff like right away. So we're going to build this here, and we get the adjacency bonuses for those. Okay, so diplomacy-wise, people still like us. People don't like us. We can go over to the moon if we want to. You can see missions and milestone missions and stuff that happen for the moon, as well as any requests for things that are lunar as well. And eventually, we'll be able to look at Mars, and you can even go that way to look at Venus and Mercury and the sun and all that stuff. It's pretty cool how they've done it. I like it. All right, artificial satellite can be done, but it requires, or at least recommends, suggests that you use parts over here. We have a lower and we have an upper being researched. So technically, once this Viking research is done, we could go for it. Technically, that would probably work. Let's go ahead and see whether or not that would be very wise to do. So we're going to build another rocket. Now, this one has an upper stage and a lower stage, and that means there's also 2 phases to this plan. So we can choose for our payload design to be the standard one. We can also choose observation. This will have improved observation modules, but will reduce the payload reliability. We could try a prototype, which will reduce our build costs significantly by half, but it also reduces reliability and power. We can have increased power, but it will cost us more to build this. I don't think we need increased power for this first one. I think it's going to be okay with just the standard. We'll have 60% reliability, and we'll start with 4 power. Build time for this stage will take 2 months, and it will cost us $100,000, which we don't actually have. We have 86, so we can't do this yet. But I can select it anyway. It will save all of this. It won't delete your work or anything, so we can go back, go another month after research starts, and I think we're going to go with Vanguard. And next month, Vanguard's done. Let's get the Jupiter stage started. But now that we have over $100,000, we should be able now to build this if we want to. We can also go back in here if we like unlocked a new module for some reason, and we can tweak it afterwards too. Now, the small, simple satellite capable of transmitting basic scientific data back from space. If we want more info, it will show us what this mission phase looks like, and you'll get a feel for what this means in a second, like later in the video. But for now, just know that there are certain modules, their rating matters, and you can improve their rating, or it'll show you the objectives, and it'll show you the objectives. So in order to achieve Earth orbit, you're going to need 2 communication modules and 2 observation modules, or planetary modules. I don't know what these are. I wish I could mouse over them and see a direct name of what they are. But all I'm going to go is off this. So short-range comms, this looks like a communication thing, and observation, planetary, this looks like that. I don't know. I'm going off that. Okay, so select the payload, 99K, build it. Payload's approved. We spend the money, off it goes. And research is on the Jupiter. That'll happen next month. Okay, has Russia declared that they're doing anything? Not yet. Okay, so there's not going after the moon just yet. 1 more month on this, and Jupiter research is done. But also, the payload is done. The Jupiter actually finished just in time, because now we're going to start designing the rocket. Okay, some things happen during the build process. We're going to get negative 25% support reward for that. That's kind of an ouch. But we're also going to reduce our build costs as well. So we're going to make up for it a little bit by not having the money expended out of our account as much now. But unfortunately, with the support reward dropping, it means we potentially don't get as much money later as a snowball effect. But it's okay. Payload reliability remains at 60%. At least that didn't drop. So now we have to build the first stage. We have to build the payload that's going to, the launch vehicle that's going to get the payload up there. It has an upper stage and a booster. So the upper stage, we have access to the parts that we've researched. These parts we could use, but like we could use as part of our design, but we won't be able to actually do that and construct it until we've researched it. Okay. So right now we have the Jupiter and the Viking. These are the 2 things we have. The Jupiter has a little bit more launch reliability, but it costs a little bit more money to build. And by a little bit, I mean like 80% more, or 80% the money. It's also significantly heavier. And it looks to me like reliability per level, 5%. Max level 5. Experience level. I'm not entirely sure what all this stuff is. That's why I say I think this really needs like a tutorial, or it needs some sort of like a wiki that you can click like a question mark on something and get a description of what all this stuff really does for you. For now, you just learn it by playing it. So the Jupiter is what we'll use for this. And we can also use the Jupiter for here too. I'm kind of thinking, why can't I use... I wonder why I can't use... If I want the Viking for this. Okay, I can use the Vanguard if I use the Viking. This has a 63% launch reliability, which isn't very high, but it's way cheaper to build this. Unless I want to do the Jupiter, and then I can go Jupiter here as well. It's more expensive, but we get more launch reliability. Slightly more chance of success. And you know what? I'm going to spend the cash. The thing is, if I want to spend this cash, I have to wait another month because I don't have the money for this right now. So I think maybe we're taking risks. I think we're taking risks because this will allow me to build it quicker and also for less money. 63% launch reliability. All right, let's confirm this and get it going. We're cutting corners for the sake of progress, okay? This is the American way. That's not really the American way. I'm sorry. It's not true. Let's go, you know what? Lunar orbit. I think researching lunar orbit next is probably a really good idea. Because, you know what? Freaking Russia's going to do it. Budget review for January. We did some good things, and we beat Russia. So we got really good support. That bumps us up to the next tier. So now we're getting 79K per month. Very nice. Okay, artificial satellite vehicle is complete. Everything looks nice. No effects were applied to the vehicle, both positive or negative. Nothing there. No notable issues at all. Let's set training. We're going to focus the training on additional science. Scientists will focus on optimizing the payload's instrumentation and software, increasing its data collection capabilities. The training will increase the science reward. Now, the science reward has a maximum of 25% bonus that's applied. You get 5% for every month that they're able to train for it, up to a maximum of 25, which means if you delay your launch, you'll earn more. So if we go to the launch window, right now, if I want to launch this in February, and I do, I could get 5% bump. But if I was to launch it later, notice how that bump goes up to 25%. If I wait till June, I'll get the most science, but I'll have to wait till June. I don't want to wait till June. They'll beat me. So I'm going to February. We're going real fast. So let's confirm this mission setup, and we're launching this sucker next month. And hopefully, with our accelerated program that had very little testing, hopefully everything will be okay. Our research center is up and running too. Looks good. And our research is currently for lunar orbit, so we can get up there and beat him to the moon as well. Next month, artificial satellite. They're not even started on this. What a bunch of slackers. The essential first step in any space program, okay? Breathe and don't explode on the launch pad, because if you do, it's going to be expensive. All right, the weather this time is rainy, okay? Not ideal. This could really hit our launch reliability. It might force us 50-50, man. 13% chance of critical failure. I don't like the payload reliability decrease, but we're kind of okay. I don't like the bad conditions, but I think I'm going to risk it for biscuit. I think I'm going to risk it. Let's go.
5, 4,
Come on, roll the dice, baby.
1. We have liftoff.
If you're not first, you're last. All right, RNG was in our favor really well, too. Ooh, increased capacity. Positive reflection there, huh? 1+1 action on the first turn for the first task. Very cool. So, first task, what does that mean? Well, we're in space now, we're orbiting, and in order to get the science data and collect things for the mission to be successful, we actually have to get up there, which we did, and then we have to do the thing we went up there for. And that's what this part is. So, new task, achieve Earth orbit. We need to collect 2 communication modules and 2 planetary observation modules, I guess. So in order to do that, we have bonus action. It's only going to happen just one turn because of that really positive result. So every turn after this will be only 2 actions. How this works is you have these different modules, and depending on how they're upgraded, this will result in whether your ins and outs that you can do. You can have an input and an output. The object is to achieve this output. You want to have 2 of these and 2 of these, and you need to have certain inputs to get there. We currently have 4 power, and we're going to have the inputs, and each time we select one of these, it counts as an action. So for example, if I want to put power in and get a communication module out, I click this, it counts as an action, and there is a 60% chance of that actually happening without a hiccup. Okay, that's the reliability part. 60% chance of it happening without an input. Now, these happen in order, which means once this is successful, I'll be able to use that right within the next action if I want to. So if I want to take this and get the output here, and then I want to take this output and have it become this, I can do that. Or, more like what I want to do anyway, I'm going to have this happen. Orbit, visual, sweep. I'm going to put power into this one to get the communication module. Then I'm going to put more power and that communication module into this and get 3 of these. That's going to result in us having 2 power left, none of these, but 3 of these. Then the final thing I want to do is have the aligned burst transmission happen. Normally, I'd have to wait for the next turn to do this. But since we have 3 actions, we can use it now. We can do that. That's going to satisfy this an all-in-one turn. It is almost never that easy, but that 12% RNG proc there actually allows us to do this in 1 turn. Now, again, there's a 60% chance of each of these happening, but if you get a failure, which probably happens more often than not, we'll see what happens this time. It happens actually way often usually, except... Okay, this one's going to be a failure. Now, what happens here, you have a camera shutter failure when you're trying to do the observation. An electrical malfunction in the camera has resulted in reduced data generation. This action's output will be reduced by 1 unit of these unless you spend 1 power to resist the event. We are going to spend the 1 power to resist the event because we have spare power. So there we go. Last thing is here, and that's going to crit succeed, which is awesome. I've actually never had one of these crit succeed before. Ideal alignment. Preemptive payload positioning resulted in the antenna being ideally aligned for transmission. This action will generate an additional communication module. So you get a bonus module for it if you crit succeed. And that's it. We're successful. So we've achieved orbit. We are first. We beat the Russians. And we get more support because we're first. Everyone loves us more because we're first. Okay? If you're not first, you're last, Ricky Bobby. Suck it, Russians. Okay, so next, we're going to look for a lunar orbit, but we also want to keep progressing our stuff down here too, because eventually we're going to want to start doing manned space flight, and we can't do that very well unless we start getting down here to the medium launch pad, astronaut training, etc. So we want to maintain a good flow of research. We're also going to need higher tech vehicles to get down there as well and get man-made flight. And of course, we have to unlock the missions to do them. So there's lots of science progression. You want to kind of pick your paths, but when you have the money to do so, you want to expand your bases and stuff out here too. Eventually, we're going to want mission control, and I'm not sure where I'm going to put that. This looks like it's pretty cheap-ish to remove, but let's check and see if we have any missions first. Okay, we have a request here. In the request tab, it says they want us to do a test launch. High altitude photography. Launch a sounding rocket equipped with a 35mm camera to capture images of the curvature of Earth from high altitudes. We'll get 10 support for this and 25 science. We're not going to get any money, unfortunately, but that's okay. So let's build the sounding rocket. We're going to call this one Quark. Now, since we've built a sounding rocket before, right, and it was a successful launch, we get 55% reliability this time, right? We got a reliability bump this time from last time. 79K to build it, get it going. So we have these other contracts that we can do while we are researching the things we want to do for missions and stuff. Keep an eye on the request tab, and you'll stay busy while you're clicking through the months. Race to space. The prospect of launching the first human into space is dominating the newspapers. Most have labeled it an impossible endeavor, whilst the less skeptical outlets claim a rival agency are bound to get there first. Yeah, because that worked out well so far last time, skeptics. Several have contacted your agency for a statement. We will win the race, obviously, because we're America. Challenge accepted. You have replied that it is not only possible, but inevitable that a human will reach space. And what more? Your agency will be the first to achieve it. Your statement has resulted in a surge of public support, yet detractors maintain that your agency is setting itself up for a fall. Lunar orbit research is complete. While that's complete, we also have our high altitude sounding rocket done being built, and it also has the +5 reliability up to 60% now. So let's get scientific training to help us out for that. And it's not ideal here, so we're going to go and launch it in June. So that means we have 3 months of waiting around for the launch window for that. And in the meantime, we can research other things like the payload for the lunar orbit. So there we go. Get the payload done. Pioneer research is complete. While that's going on, let's take a look at buildings. I want to do a rocket test pad, I think. payload reliability is pretty important too, though. Let's do a spacecraft assembly facility, actually. And that way we can have different research. Now, if you're wondering what those things are, the research lab that I did, this is what allows me to do that training that gets us additional science. This is the research lab. What the spacecraft assembly building will allow us to do, if we build it, is allow us to focus our training to payload reliability, which will increase the reliability of the payload. That's that thing I was doing in space where I was trying to get those modules. With higher reliability, it means higher chances of success for the operations that we're doing up there. So we can actually focus it. Depending on what we're doing at the time, we can focus each craft to a different training. Radiation belts discovered. Data from a recent artificial satellite mission has confirmed that belts of trapped radiation around Earth, shielding the planet from the sun's cosmic rays. We gained 20 science from that. Nice. So we already have the satellite in orbit. See? It's orbiting. It's this little ring. It's our orbit. Eventually, we'll have lots of things in space, hopefully. Spacecraft assembly facility research is completed. And this also means we can now build that facility on our base. All right. High altitude sounding rocket is ready for launch. We're going to get some bonus science for this, pending, of course, a successful launch. It looks like we have another rainy day. We should be good at launching things in the rain. So we get a negative 9%. So it's still over 50% chance. And I'm kind of okay if this happens. So really, the 12% is the only thing to worry about here. So let's hope that doesn't happen.
3, 2,
and I'm just going to get this done, man. Hopefully. Well, we got her up there, didn't we? Sure did. Neutral. Nice. And we increase our reliability for further sounding rockets even more. Now the base is 70%. Our rocket is now level 3. Very nice. The more we use the parts, the more reliable they become. All right, base. We have a new structure. This is the spacecraft assembly facility. Now we get bonuses, adjacency bonuses by using this here. I would like to use this because I like this adjacency bonus, and I like this location. But I know that this stuff is really expensive to remove, and I also know that I'm going to need to have mission control here soon. But I like the adjacency bonuses, so we're going to just rotate this little thing and get that to be... Yeah, I think like this. Yeah, this will work, right? Like this. All right, so that facility is going to build to give us those adjacency bonuses all over the place. I like it. What's next? Research. Well, now that we've done this one, we could do this, but we can now also do mission control, and I would like to do that. We can also do a research lab expansion, which would get us more science per month. I do like investing in more science, but the more we invest here, the slower we're going to be towards certain milestones, and being the first man in space is like... We really want that. Okay. Just saying. Let's do boosters. How about we take the caster booster? And we can't do this one yet. Here's a solar wind monitoring contract. Now, this one suggests that we use any of these parts, and we will. Okay. We're going to get 20 support. And 170... Oh, sorry, that's not it. Okay, I was like, that's a lot. 31 support and 60 science for this. Publicized. This is a publicized thing. So we get plus 25% support if we succeed, but we'll get plus 50% support penalty for failure. Because the media is all over it, more people will see us fail. So we might want to have better stuff. Let's design the payload. And I'm thinking... Just because the media is watching, let's get that extra power. We'll pay a little bit of extra for it, but if we can get that extra power, it might get us out of a pinch if we get bad RNG on things. Increase power, also increase the build cost by a little bit too, but I think that extra power will be worth it. What we're going to need to get is just 1 of these and 4 of these. That's not that hard, but that extra power will secure it for me, so I'm going to do that. Build that. And caster research is completed. We're going to want to get another part to go with that, though. So let's get the star 37 to go with that. And that's done. All right. Solar wind monitoring payload is completed. We're going to get less vehicle build time, so that's good. But more vehicle build cost. So all this is going to end up costing us more money. Yeah. We have 377K. It shouldn't cost us that much. So upper stage, we're going to want to maybe use that Star 37 that we just got. It's going to cost us 98K. And then we can also take and use this caster that we just got too. And it'll cost us 281 actually. If we use smaller parts, this isn't bad. It takes us 4 months to build, but it's cheaper. A little bit less launch reliability, but it's cheaper. And I like it more. Yeah, I like it more. Okay, good. This is Jupiter. And we're going to call it Batang, I guess. Confirm it. We have the money. Build it. Okay. Research-wise, let's see. Let's get mission control started. I like it. Okay, we need a little bit more science. We're only getting 11 a month, so our science output is really slow right now. I would like to improve that if I can, like as much as possible. Open Skies Debate. A global symposium is taking place to establish laws regarding territorial space for orbiting satellites. The proposed treaty states that all nations should have free access to space. Yeah, I think we could support that, sure. Treaty supported. Your agency has lent its support to the proposed law, stating that all humanity should have unimpeded access to space. The other agencies have reacted well to your stance. We're going to get +10 diplomacy with the other agencies. Now, the ESA has just completed their artificial satellite, so they've got one now, but we're already ahead of them. And there's a mission to the moon we could also start doing. Now, we can't actually do the mission to the moon because the suggested parts aren't available. No, they are. Well, okay, it wants us to have the able, so we can get that instead of the star, I guess. But we have no mission slots available. That's because you can only do one mission at a time. So this thing will have to wait because our Betang or whatever will complete in 2 months. And then whenever we launch it. So we've got like a few months before we can even start the moon mission. Meanwhile, our competitors are probably going to get started working on it pretty quickly. I'm not necessarily a fan of that. Mission control being done and built will unlock an additional mission slot. That's why we're focusing on that. So I can do one project here at home and get some money and renown for that, research, but I can also continue the space race with having a second slot. So let's go team. Outer Space Treaty established. With your agency's support, a global committee has established a treaty that forbids sovereign claims on space or celestial bodies and asserts that space activities should be for the benefit and in the interest of all countries. And there you go. Now we also have a new request here as well. Orbital radio as well as ionospheric measurements. So we see, this is where I want more missions things. So I can get one other thing started while another thing is ongoing. In this case, I'd like to get the moon thing sorted out while we're doing that. But multitasking, man, this is what this game can get you to do. It's actually pretty cool. Russia just finished their satellite. They are slow this time, man. We are rocking this. It's almost like I've tried this before and learned from some past mistakes. Final environmental testing found the payload to be more resilient than projected, yet there have been several issues with the vehicle's guidance software. So our payload reliability is going up, but our launch reliability is going down. So if we can get it up to space, we're good. But now it's the getting up to space part that's hard. Now this would prioritize payload reliability even further instead of science. And I think, why the hell not? So let's do that. And we can launch kind of whenever we want to here. I think maybe since we're getting the bump to payload reliability anyway, maybe we will set up maybe January or February here. We can get a little bit of a bump. It'd probably help. Let's go February to get that little extra bonus. All right. So So 2 months until we launch that. Let's take a look at research. Oh, man. 2. Literally 2. Sucks. Now, what happens if you overdo this, right? So 73 out of 75 is committed to mission control. We're going to get 12 per month. Now, it's not like you can go 2 days. Oh, it's proportionate. It works, whatever. You can't do that. 3 days. Every time, it's going to be a month. But what will happen is 10 of this will end up in an overflow tank here. And the next time you choose a research project, you'll get the monthly generation plus the overflow will just go into it right away. So it does accelerate the next one. I really wish, though, I think this game really needs the ability to queue projects so that you don't have to keep coming back in here every single time. I don't see a way to do that currently. There's no like hold control or shift click or anything like that for this. I wish there was. And again, this is beta. It's closed beta. Everything is subject to change. And I hope anyway that videos like this from people like me and creators, Loretta, I'm sure I'm not the only one here, will help in giving them the feedback they need to make their game even better, because this has some real promise. I like this a lot. Let's hit next. Budget review. We did some good things, man. All right, we did some good things. We almost got to tier 4. So awesome. 51 more support. We're getting even more money. Mission control is done. Let's take a look at our base really quick with 515,000. I want to build mission control. Let's take 200K to clear this. Let's see. What is mission? How big is mission control? Okay, so I'm going to need... Man, would I like to have both of those bonuses. What about over here? Can I build it over here? This gives +1 to launch reliability. Payload cost. Payload cost. I mean, I like reliability, and this I can actually build it here. You know, it has the advantage of actually being able to get built now. Although it's a little bit weird that mission control is so far away from the launch pads. You'd think it'd be better to have it next to like these buildings instead. Yeah, if I can get both of these, that'd be great. But I can't clear this land because it's so expensive to clear. I think it's worth saving up to clear here. If I can clear this for 600K, then I get both of those bonuses for it. I know it's not next to the launch pad, though. It feels weird not having that. Launch reliability and payload cost. Maybe... For some reason, I don't get any adjacency bonus for having mission control next to the launch pad. I mean, mission control is... They would want to see the launch pad. You know? I feel like they would want to see the launch pad. I shouldn't think so meta about this, right? I mean, they can see it here. You can see it. It's over there. I think I'm going to wait to get these bonuses here. Yeah. 600,000. That's going to take a long time. So I think next, what we should do is go after Abel. And let's go and get a little bit more money. Is it worth it? I don't know, man. We can build mission control, get more contracts right now. Short-term gains versus long-term gains. I don't do well with pressure like this. Technically going here, I'd be able to build another structure later here. And I might get the bonuses later. As long as I don't put it here, I'm not locked out. So I could get 3 bonuses if I hit right here. I'm going to build it here. I want it now. Eventually, I'll build something here when I'm able to actually clear this stuff. And we'll go from there. All right, we're building mission control. And that's going to be done in 4 months. All right, solar wind monitoring. This is a publicized event. We really don't want to mess it up. If we can get the payload into space successfully, then it'll be good to go. And it is raining. Of course it is. Of course it is. I think it's raining more often than it's not in this game. Apparently it rains the entire month of February. Who knew? 59%. Like, I don't know, man. 10% launch here, 43. Let's do it. Let's do it. Oh boy, it's publicized, baby. If we're gonna fail, we're gonna do it in glorious fashion. We have the best fails here, don't you know? I saw sparks before the engine lit. Uh-oh. I'm seeing sparks. That's not good. That's not good. Oh, boy. I saw sparks. Oh, boy. We're going. I think we had some sort of negative, but we're going. Oh, okay. No mission effect. Good. And the Jupiter's reliability goes up. Excellent. Okay. So, solar wind monitoring. We have great payload reliability, so that should help us out. We just need to collect 1 and 4. So let's see what that entails. We have 2 actions per turn, 4 turns to do it. Get 1 of these and 4 of these. Well, it looks to me like I can put power into that and then power in this to get 3 of these. So that'll help us there. Resolve the turn. With good reliability, we should get these successful more often than not, I would hope. Let's get these done. Nice. Crit success would have been awesome. Okay. Now we want to do one more power here and one more power here. And that gets us success. We have 2 spare power after this, which means if these fail, we can spend the extra power to make them succeed. So this is guaranteed to work. This is guaranteed success. Perfect. Even though we failed that one, we had the spare power to spend to ultimately resist the failure. Which we wouldn't have, by the way, if I hadn't gotten the spare power. Success! There we go. So payload reliability, right? It's a really, really good thing to have. Because you can get your rocket up to space, but if it can't perform its mission, you still fail. That's when you really fail. Okay then. So we got that contract done. I think it's time to go to the moon. Lunar orbit. Let's plan the mission. Our payload for this, I don't want reduced payload reliability. I want the payload to be as reliable as frickin' possible. So I'm going to use the standard payload. Now, I don't have 196K. That sucks. So we can put that on standby temporarily. And it looks to me like the base, 3 more months until this is done. So we'll be able to do 2 missions at a time once that's done. Next month. Able research completed. Now, it looks like ESA is launching an animal in space. Well, that's because I'm going towards the lunar thing and I'm not going towards the human in space thing. And I just said that I would win that race, so I probably should focus that. Let's do human in space research. I'm going for human in space, not animal, okay? I'm going to skip the animal and go right here, okay? Thanks. I'm not even entirely sure I'm allowed to do that, but we'll see. Lunar orbit. We're gonna go ahead and build this. We're gonna get 2 things happening at once because we have mission control going down as well. And we'll be able to take 2 contracts when we do that. Human in space will be done now. Our lunar payload is completed. You see what I'm talking about? This thing just is like 1 more turn. 1 more turn. Yeah, it'll cost us more money. Big deal. Build time went down though. That's nice. We can do it faster. All right, cost is gonna be up. That sucks. Upper stage, we can use the Able and the booster. We can also use the caster. This is gonna be really good for the launch reliability. Payload's a little bit shitty, but if we can, we can't build this yet though, that's the thing. Can we get the cost under 200K? Nah, we can't. 76 is still pretty good though. I'm okay with 76. Infinity, I like it. We can't build it yet, so let's back out of it. Now we can also do an extra mission slot. We have another mission slot. So that means we can come back to Earth and start focusing on humans. Now, I think humans in space, it requires here and then the Mercury payload. We can't send the animal because we're not going to beat the animal. Like, the ESA is already doing it. But we pledged to beat humans, to put humans in space. That's what we pledged. I don't know if the animals... Like, I don't know if the animal matters in terms of that pledge. If it does, that sucks. If it does, we'll just fail that and not get the notoriety, and everyone will start laughing at us. Ha ha ha. Let's see if we could do some of these, though. Actually, no, we need to save our money, right? We need to save our money for the launch vessels that we're going to do. Human space research is completed. We're going to need the payload as well, so let's research that. And I believe we should be able to build this now. Bam. Let's get that built. Perfect. All right. I'm going to leave this here. I know you're supposed to do the animal first. All right. I know that you're supposed to do animal in space before man in space. But I kind of went for lunar orbit instead of animal first. Right, you can go animal first and then man in space that way. I kind of went lunar first and then deviated and went this way. I can go back and do this later if I want to, or I can focus on just keeping going and saying, yeah, we never bothered putting animals in space. You know, whatever. I don't know what the best thing to do is. But what I do think is that this video is long enough. So if you like this, give it a thumbs up. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. You can subscribe if you haven't already, and maybe hit the bell so you know when new videos are coming out. Again, another thank you to Auroch Digital for sending me a copy of the game. We're going to complete this. We're going to play it some more. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.